CeeGee is a native of Kingsport, and Jeff is a native of Georgia, and they met at Georgia Tech, I think. So we're delighted to keep you busy. And if you just listen, or even reading that made me tired. So these people are super busy, but yet they assumed on a volunteer basis the leadership of the Centennial Commission, which they'll tell you more about. So I think that represents the fact that they are this busy and agreed to take on the Centennial. Just shows you the Kingsport spirit. It's a good thing. So, and I should have mentioned Jeff in his spare time, which he's got a lot of, also writes a weekly article, which most of you know about, for the Kingsport paper. We appreciate that. So I don't want to take up any more of your time. I could go on and on.
Please keep going.
I thought this was the program.
Okay, Jeff and CeeGee McCord, thank you.
Oh, thank you. I'm supposed to go first to introduce, but before I do, this is a great group. I'm a little intimidated, more than a little bit, because some of my community heroes are here today. People I love and respect and have grown to know over the last 20 years since I've been in Kingsport, Tennessee. Tell you a quick story that I think embodies the place we live and who we are and who we invite others to become. I had the chance yesterday afternoon to eat lunch with one of my good friends who started his life in Burundi, Africa, and when the war between the Hutus and the Tutsis and all the mass murders happened, found himself in a refugee camp for a few years, and then when he was about 19 years old, he found himself in Kingsport, Tennessee. The folks at St. Paul's wrapped themselves around him and some of his cousins and loved up on them. And he told me the story, the first time I ever heard it, Sunday, about that journey that he took from Burkina Faso, which is in Africa, refugee camp, to New York City, to Cincinnati, to Kingsport, Tennessee. He started going with a big group. When they got to New York, all the language was the same, and they could talk to each other. The trip from New York to Cincinnati, there were fewer people, and the trip from Cincinnati to Kingsport, Tennessee, he was the one and only refugee coming to our neck of the woods. But he talked about how his life and the lives of his cousins had turned out so much different than the group, or a lot different than some of the group that had originally traveled with him to make that first leap to New York City. And he talked about where he may have started in Burundi, but he became a citizen of Kingsport, Tennessee. He became from Kingsport, Tennessee. And he talked about the opportunity in Kingsport and also in the United States, but he talked about the opportunity that is in Kingsport to become involved in your community, to serve your faith, to know your neighbor, to learn the value of work. And that has served him and his cousins very well. For those who do know him, he's still a parishioner at St. Paul's, and a good man, and a good father. But he learned how to live in this country and how to be who you can be. He told me, and it's so nice to hear, especially after this past week. He said, if you are the right person, this country sets a table for you. And all you have to do is want to do good. And he learned to do good when he came to Kingsport, which is part of the spirit that we have in this place. As was talked about, I'm not from around here. I met this soccer playing young lady, co-ed, at Georgia Tech. It's no accident that our history, CeeGee my history, we have the same degrees from the same schools. because we shared books, because we were married young, and so the same degrees just served us well to save a little money along the way and do the best we could. But our destination was always going to be Kingsport, Tennessee, and we've been here for the last 20 years or so. We've been here for the last 20 years and found the exact same thing that my friend on Sunday found. So it doesn't really matter whether you're from Georgia or whether you're from Burundi or whatever the case may be, the history of this place, the essence of this place, if you stay long enough, can soak through you and you can become, you know him, Nancy, you can become so much more than you could have become, as evidenced by the group of men, actually boys, who started on that airplane and went to all different places in the United States. And so, knowing that, when CeeGee and I were asked if we would help to organize a celebration for Kingsport's 100th birthday, we said yes. CeeGee told me what an honor it was, so I said yes. It was honestly not my first reaction, but anytime there's something good that happens, usually my first reaction is, oh no, and then because I know I'm going to do it, but we are proud and pleased and honored to be able to serve as co-chairs the Centennial Commission. We were the Centennial Committee, but the first meeting we promoted ourselves to a commission so that we wouldn't have subcommittees, we would just have other committees, including a lot of work done by the History Committee. I almost said Historical Committee, but that would mean like it was already over, but it's still going, so the History Committee. We'll start, that's not a good way to start, with our presentation here.
You've got to advance quicker up there, Jeff, you're right.
With something that, and I think the sound will be good, with something that as we started the commission, we wanted to understand what we were celebrating. So I'm going to let you, we're just going to start with a short video if we can make this work here.
With the river and the rails as our companions, we built our home upon a willingness to work, an ability to think, steady hands, and steadfast faith. People who visited could feel the difference as much as see it, and those who stayed long enough became a part of it. Long before our articles of incorporation, the Cherokee felt its pull. It called them here to gather in community with both neighbor and stranger, and it does the same now, imbued with a practical optimism, emboldened with a can-do creativity, and enlightened with an everyday selflessness. It is the Kingsport spirit, and it is what we have come to celebrate.
Okay, and that's what we're celebrating. We're celebrating 100 years of something that's very special, and I'm sure communities gather around all the time and talk about how special they are. That's really not our nature in Kingsport to do that. And sometimes it takes an outside perspective to be able to see. It takes me, or it takes my friend that I had lunch with yesterday. For those of us who have lived in Kingsport for our whole lives, sometimes it's harder to see. Sometimes you have to go away and look from afar to see up close. That's just the way the world works. Today, CeeGee and I are going to talk a little bit about how we're organized, what we're doing, why we're doing it. We may ask you guys a few questions as well, and then save plenty of time for questions at the end. Does that sound okay?
Yes, sir.
If it doesn't, we're out of luck, because we really don't have much else we can go to. We have a plan. That's all this slide was supposed to tell you. We're going to have a celebration. Those are great pictures. And we've organized. And so here's just some of the names that were a part of our original committee or commission. These people have split into committees and are in committees. So they're literally hundreds of people who've been involved already in preparing for and talking about and giving input into the celebration that we're about to have. By the way, it's next year. Okay, we all knew that. And so 2017 is what we're preparing for. And we've been meeting for over a year in preparation. I guess we started maybe even a year and a half. What do you think, Alex? At some
2015.
2015 is the end of 2015 is when we started. And you can see there, I won't read it to you, but of course, being from Kingsport, the first thing we have to do is develop our mission statement. And so we have a mission statement. We have a mission statement that we're headed towards. I think key in this mission statement is the concept of both history and future. And I think we'll hear a little bit more about that as we go. Again, being from Kingsport, we had to be very efficient, and we broke our commission into working committees, and you can see what those are, and most of those have a mission statement as well about where we're going and what we're doing. And you can see that. Okay, I think it's time for me to tag out. And I'll come back though.
Oh, okay, don't. So the reason Jeff and I have the same degrees from the same colleges and universities is because I had to find somebody to cheat off of. That's not really true, but he did help me a lot in school. We are really honored to be working with the commission and feel very blessed to be a part of this community. This opportunity has given us a chance to really think about the community where we live. We always knew it was a special place, but I can't talk about it really without getting emotional anymore, because our children grew up here. They had very, very strong foundations because of this community. In fact, I'll tell you one story. When we moved back, our youngest one was still in preschool, but after a couple of years, our oldest was entering into high school and playing football. And the coach at the time would come and make home visits. And so he was coming home from practice, and he said, I think the coach is coming by tonight. I'm just going to drive down to the end of the neighborhood and start working on my homework. If y'all just call me when he's gone, then I'll come back. He had practice already. And so he drove down to the base of our neighborhood. There's a little cul-de-sac. And the story he tells, he said, I was sitting there, had my head down the book, and I hear this knocking on my window. And he said, I looked up, and he said, I didn't know who it was, big man. And he said he unrolled his window a little bit, and he said, can I help you? And the gentleman said, are you Jeff and CeeGee's boy? And he said, yes, sir. And he said, what are you doing down here? and Sam said, well, I wasn't smoking or anything. I was doing my homework. But accountability, we just loved it as the kids grew up. But they are wonderful individuals. A big part of why they're so is because of this community. I'll get back to where you were in the presentation, but Jeff was talking about the different committees. We've got a number of people that are working on those, and a lot of the work and a lot of the communications, we're doing it in a variety of ways, but Kingsport100.org is our website. You can go out and look at that. The homepage has the video that you just saw as one of the introductions. And it has information about the Centennial, and it will continue to grow. This has really just gotten started. But it talks a little bit about the website. It talks about our 100th year anniversary. And then there's announcements and using social media and a lot of different things. We had our kickoff in March. We had it March 2nd, actually, and that's when Kingsport was founded in 1917, March 2nd, 1917, and that was a good day. We also announced a project that we're working on, and one of the things that continues to build is our timeline. Alec Anderson has been chairing our history committee and doing a tremendous amount of work. Part of our park project, I'll talk about that in a minute, and the contribution that they have made to that. But working with the archivists at the city and a number of people around the community, putting down significant events that happened throughout our history. And in 2017, the Business Journal is our official magazine of the Centennial, and the Kingsport Times-News is our print media. And they both have agreed to run articles to highlight historical events that have taken place on a monthly and a weekly basis. So we're really excited and appreciate their contribution to help us celebrate our 100th year. So that is out on the website. One of the things that's been a lot of fun is going around the community and capturing some video of some people that have lived here for a long time. And we are looking for volunteers. So we would love to bring an interview videographer out and meet you wherever you're comfortable and ask you a series of questions, listen to some of your most significant memories. And we're asking each of the individual 3 questions. One is, what is your favorite memory of Kingsport? The second one is, why do you love Kingsport? And the third one is, if you could give a gift to a future generation, what would that be? So you all think about those. We might come back to that. But we've gotten a number of people. Nancy participated in one. Thank you for that. Jack Pierce, but Pal Barger, Virginia Ellis.
Nancy's is the best.
So you can go out and look at all those. You can. They're all out on the website. And then we also captured the perspective of some of our young people. So this is a group of students from Dobbins Bennett that were all interviewed, and all of their videos are out there too. And this is, again, a place where all of that information is captured. Next year, the commission has been working on 3 significant events. And that's the New Year's Eve Gala when we kick that off, March 2nd. We'll have a huge birthday celebration. And then July 4th, in combination with the Symphony, downtown Kingsport, we'll do a big celebration in downtown. I don't know if any of you all came downtown this 4th of July, but a lot of fun stuff was going on. In addition to these, you can register your own event by going to the website, submit an event. So if your church wants to do something, if your garden club wants to do something, your book club, if you want to do something as a neighborhood, you just submit your event. We'll help publicize that for you. We are asking for all the events to be self-managed. And if you do make a profit, if there's a ticket to that event, then we ask that at your discretion you give a portion of those proceeds to our park project. It's really easy. There's not a lot of criteria around it, but we do want to make sure that all the events fit the values of our community. And then the Legacy Project, we talked a lot about wanting to give a gift to the future generation, and instead of just really as a part of celebrating our history, a part of our spirit of giving, to look at something significant in our community. Jeanette Blazier and Brenda Whitewright have chaired that committee. They worked with a group of stakeholders about a year ago, had everyone through a series of discussions, looked at a number of different places around the community that were provided by the city of Kingsport, and came up with the Centennial Park, which will be on Main Street, right next to the old Chamber building, the train depot there. And it will be also a nice connection over to the Brickyard Park, where our new ball fields are, just across the train tracks. But the design is beautiful. It celebrates a lot of things in our history. The railroad, there's a kind of a spoken wheel design. There's a water feature. There's a small stage. And the milestones that will go around the circle of the park, each one represents significant events that happened during that year. So starting with 1917 all the way to present day. And that's a big bulk of the work that Alec and his committee have done, because there's so many good things that have happened over the years, so many significant things that have happened. Trying to pare that down to just a few items per block was pretty challenging. The other thing, in terms of recognition of donors, we didn't want it to be, somebody's name and, all over a 100-year milestone for our community. So we will recognize all the donors on a plaque out front, but there won't be specific naming opportunities on each of those. But you can give a bench, you can buy a milestone, a marker, a number of ways you can plug in and help support that. And we have been very successful in our fundraising so far. We've been raising money for about 3 months now and raised over $500,000. And so we're real pleased with that. Very generous individuals, very generous companies, and we're excited about the momentum that is building. Jim Harlan has been working hard on that, because the East Tennessee Foundation, through its affiliate, the Kingsport Foundation, has agreed to be the fundraiser for us for that. So they've been working with the commission and aligned with the commission. And their purpose is to really endow a fund that will help for future years. So they've been working on that. Gosh, I think they've been around for about 12 years now. And so this is a big project for them to help with the K-play. So when we were building the baseball fields and soccer fields a number of years ago, they were involved. So we feel really good about our partnership with the East Tennessee Foundation.
Let me do this too, before, if you don't ask us questions, we're going to ask you questions, just so we know. I think to highlight, for context there too, the committees that really form the structure of the celebration. There's the events committee, and as CeeGee said, there's going to be some signature events, but also we're celebrating all year. And so we'll some of the events that are already going on, we'll theme them are in partnership as a Kingsport 100 event. And so you may see events that you go to during Fun Fest or something, for example, or in the fall, and it's going to be about celebrating Kingsport's 100th year all year. The second major one is our history committee, led by Mr. Alex Anderson. Give it up for him. It's been a lot more work than he anticipated. There's no doubt about that. But to honor our past, to recognize our past, it tells us who we are as a people. I've learned a lot just being a part of the commission about our history as Kingsport, Tennessee. And then there's the committee, the Legacy Project, or the Centennial Park Committee, who've done yeoman's work in partnership with Kingsport Community Foundation. By the way, Kingsport Community Foundation has given millions of dollars into the community, kind of very quietly raised money, given money there. And the philosophy there, and came very early in our meetings, is that while certainly we need to honor our past, being here 100 years, we also need to give something to the future. It's not just about providing a monument to ourselves. It's about taking someone by the hand, just like we were, and helping them into the future, that's the Kingsport spirit right there. Not self-focused, but outward focused. A lot of good work been done there. Work with the city. The park is beautiful and practical, just like us. We're beautiful, but we're practical. Well, maybe I should say it the other way. This is better. We're practical, but we're beautiful. That's much better, saying it like that. And it will. It's very strategically placed for some other things the city is working on as part of their plan. Okay, with that said, did you have anything else?
Well, the schools. We forgot to talk about the schools. So Susan Lodahl has been chairing our education committee. So the schools have got a number of activities they're planning that's involved in the curriculum of the students next year. They've just formed a sports committee that will help highlight the sports throughout the years. So they have been very thoughtful and deliberate in their planning. And so we're very, very appreciative of the work of the city schools and look forward to seeing a lot of good things happen with our young people during the Centennial celebration.
And the Arts Committee.
And the Arts Committee,
I've
Donnie
done-
McDonald.
Donnie McDonald has done a lot to, so next year we'll see a lot of, probably things integrated like into the symphony and that sort of as well as we go, as we celebrate being around for 100 years. Okay. Questions to the committee as well. You can see that. That would be the type of thing that would be on that stage. Not concerts, but that's. There is also plans for a humongous Georgia Tech monument.
We did this year.
Big yellow jacket sitting right there, hovering above the park.
I thought it was the North Avenue Trade School.
That's okay. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with North Avenue Trade School. Any other questions or suggestions? This is great. This is really, really good. Super input. Okay, so 3 questions. I'm going to answer them and you have to answer them before we somebody else volunteer to answer them. So 3 questions we ask in the video, and we'll ask you these questions and get the history there. Is what do you love about Kingsport? Your favorite experience in Kingsport, and what would you give to the future? Is that correct?
That's right.
So what I love about Kingsport is the people. It's a wonderful, selfless, practical, why would we do anything else besides give somebody else a hand up sort of attitude. Not looking for any credit for it, but this is how we are. So that's, I really, people in this community are just like that. My favorite memory is when I first took our children when they were moving from the suburbs of North Atlanta to a Mets baseball game up here. There was a little trouble with them understanding the language that people were speaking. I had to do a little translating, and we had to get over the phrase "I wouldn't care to." I thought these people are really rude. I mean, I'm just asking for a Coke, for goodness sake. So we got that in that first Mets baseball game. I love going to the Mets game.
You got to tell the foul ball Freddie story.
So yeah, honestly, my son and I think my daughter at the time, because our son was in 3rd grade when we moved up there, and they had a mascot named Foul Ball Freddie. I don't think they still have Foul Ball Freddie. He went the way of the buffalo. But Foul Ball Freddie was the mascot. And this nice young man would come up and say, you know, would you like to meet Foul Ball Freddie? But he didn't say it like that. He said, you want to meet Foul Ball Freddie? And he said, he looked at my son and said, you want to meet Foul Ball Freddie? And my son looked at him, and then he looked at me, and I looked at him, and I said, he wants to know if you'd like to meet the mascot, Foul Ball Freddie. So we had a little translation, but great, love to go to the Mets games. And so the gift, and this is, we have the privilege of, CeeGee and I have the privilege of being related to 3 of the finest people you'll ever meet in your life, and they have to be our children. And I think this place was as much of a parent as we were. And so the fact that at least there's one in the community, there's one that wants to come back, all 3 of them want to be in this community. So even if we get 33%, I think that would be the gift that you can take that one too, by the way, if you want to. So I have a suggestion that we need to write down. I love history. The product of my dad is it's much more than a history buff. He is, and so I would like to ask this group to provide 4 speakers so that we can have a lecture series, and I'm sure Miles would let us have it here, but if not, we can do it over at the Higher Ed Center or one of the buildings over there, to where if you would prepare, it could be called The Real History of Kingsport. I think that would be great. that we
The
could,
little known history.
little-known history, I like that better, little-known history of Kingsport, so that we can have that as an educational piece. So I'll leave that with you. I would love to have 4. I think 4 would be good, and we could schedule them, we'd advertise them. Again, even for the students, even for the 3,000 students to go to school over there, we could advertise that and have a next year.
In this group.
So again, I would love to have, if y'all would talk about it and provide 4 for us to have a lecture series. I think we've named it Little Known History of Kingsport. That would be super. 30 minutes, and then with questions probably. So if no other questions, we're going to get CeeGee to tell her 3 answers to those questions.
Okay. Well, I love Kingsport the people. Same answer as yours.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I stole it. But I didn't really have to steal it because that's my answer no matter what. And absolutely, the people make all the difference. And how thankful I am to have grown up in this community and get to live here now. I count it as one of my greatest blessings. My favorite memory was watching my husband take our children to the first Kingsport Mets game. Okay, so I'll be a little bit different. About a year ago, I had a cousin that had called. She lives over in Asheville, and she said her girls were in their young teenage years and just a great, great family. And she said, we're going to come over for a swim meet. Can we stay with you all? I said, sure. So they came over and spent Friday night. They were blown away by the aquatic center. They had been in competitive meets all over the Southeast. And they said, we have never seen anything like this. How wonderful. And so they were blown away at the aquatic center. Saturday morning, we got up, we watched them swim. We came downtown and ate lunch. We walked over to the carousel. The girls rode the carousel. Then we went over to Pal's and had a peanut butter milkshake. They said, you all don't live in the real world. And it was just a beautiful day. It was just fun. It was fun. And I was so proud of our community. And that was a neat day. And a gift to give forward is that we leave this place better than it was so wonderful when we got here, but to leave it better and to keep working on improvements because it's a big world out there, and this is a really unique place, and I think we need to maintain how special it is and continue to improve the assets that we've got. I think we've got a tremendous city staff right now. We have got such a strong leadership team for the city of Kingsport, and Jeff Fleming has done a tremendous job. Chris McCord, Ryan Reynolds, Lynn Tully. We are very fortunate to have the professional staff that we do here. I think they do a fantastic job. They think a lot about livability in all of their planning, so I'm very grateful for that too.
I'll give you the 3, the same as you.
Good.
Grateful for the people, the opportunities, and for the future opportunities, even greater. And my father was a son of a sharecropper. My grandfather never owned a piece of land. My father came down from Southwest Virginia to Kingsport. Mr. E. Ward King, Mason Dixon, and I wouldn't be here now with all my education and everything had that opportunity not come about.
That's a great
And
opportunity.
I'm grateful.
Anybody else have a testimony?
Preacher here, remember?
I hear you, brother. Hey, thank you for having us
Yeah.
here. We get the privilege, and you know this, of working with Alex, and it's just wonderful. He is a good man, and we are really, really blessed to have him as a part of this. And so he doesn't know this, thank goodness, but we do anything he asks us to do. So don't tell him. But we want to thank y'all for hearing us out and for letting us come today. Thank you.
I know we have several people here who came just because you all were the program, and we're glad to have you, but hope you'll come back for other programs too. But certainly they were not disappointed. But thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedules to run this thing, and having been a small part of the commission, just watching them operate and make it happen is wonderful. So we're thankful to you both. And you were talking a little bit about the accidents. I'll tell a quick one here too. When my wife was going through one of the drive-ins with our granddaughter who does not live here, and then when they got through, my granddaughter turned to Edwin and says, "Why do they talk funny?" And she said, Edwin said, "That's just the way some people talk around here." And she said, "Well, you don't, but Granddaddy does." So, one of the things I love about it was the neighborhood I was raised in, and if it hadn't have been for, I get Donnie and Jerry mixed up, Fritz, Mr. Ted Fritz, who was my scoutmaster, and my father, and Joe Jefferson worked with him too. I was an only child, and my mother would have spoiled me, except for my daddy and Troop 54, which is fun. And she may still think I'm spoiled. Our program for next month is Dr. Martin Holt, who is a King College Associate Professor, and he is going to speak, and this is on October 1st, August 1st, about the Kingsport press strike.
And so we moved downtown. We love it. I love it, love it, love it. Jeff loves it. It's hard to plant a garden, so we're, looking for a little piece of property to plant a garden, but there's a lot of activity. I was amazed at the activity. The music downtown, there's always somebody playing. There's a lot of laughter. We can open up the windows. We're right across from McAdoo's, and so we always get to see and hear, but our cat particularly loves it. He sits at the windowsill all day long and watches people going up and down. But it's fun, and there's a waiting list right now for lofts downtown. So.
Yeah, there is being there, we would not have known this, there is a bustle downtown that's, I'm not sure, it wasn't there, or we didn't know about it, but it is, I guess that's the best way I can describe it, and it builds during the week. They had, Sundays usually not as crowded, but I don't know, on the news they had this little Pokemon thing that you walk around with your phone. Now, there were people everywhere.
So it's an app that the young people are using on their phone, and we couldn't figure out why everybody was walking
It's
around.
like a scavenger hunt.
Yeah, looking at their phones, and they were everywhere.
They're everywhere, and then it builds Monday and Tuesday, it's happening. And we got parked in the parking garage by that time, and so, which is great. And so anyway, lots of...
And our dog's really happy. It likes the dog park. The young professional group here has done a great job with the dog park. And, so it's
I never thought I'd ever go to a dog park, but I was wrong. It's my favorite thing now.
Thanks for asking.
Our daughter takes her dog to doggy daycare. Okay, anything else, Tim? Thank you again for coming. I appreciate you. And next meeting is August the 1st, and we've heard what the department's going to do, thanks to Ray. So we'll look forward to seeing you, and if anybody else has anything else. To answer Jeff's question, if anybody's interested in being one of the speakers, please let me know. We don't get together much and talk, so I don't know how we're going to figure that out. But anything else? Okay, thanks again, Jeff and CeeGee. Glad to have you on.